let's have a look now at another aspect of Pompeii's economy. And this one we're going to look at the textile industry, the cloth industry. And it's a rather short video, so let's have a go. Firstly, when we're looking at the textile and clothing industry and the cloth industry, we need to think about it as being primarily wool. Okay? This is a wool town. The region around it is an area where wool is gathered and then it's processed by slaves in the city of Pompeii, the town of Pompeii. So we have at least one major commercial weaving workshop, and we know from inscriptions on the wall that it is owned by Marcus Terentius. Now this is really interesting. On his wall, the walls of his workshop are the names of his male and female workers and the details of the equipment that they use. This gives archaeologists a huge sense of how this commercial workshop actually operated. Now, there are about 15 similar workshops, but most of them were fulleries, where the cloth is washed, bleached, changed, and it's used, the fulleries used basically tubs of urine, which workers would stand in and use their feet to crush through the cloth and make sure that the cloth was impregnated with fluid that held its quality. Now, there's a whole stack of equipment that was found within these fulleries. Every element of equipment that was used in the cleansing, the processing, the dyeing and re-dyeing of cloth has been found in the fulleries, and it's been identified, and sources reveal that they're actually even advertising their services. So there's like posters essentially painted onto the walls where people are selling the services and saying what happens in this fullery. This is absolutely amazing detail. The graffiti on the walls in the fulleries indicates that dyers actually were involved in town elections, that they were a substantial force when it came to voting in the cities. So the fulleries and the dyers are well documented by graffiti. We can see a huge amount of equipment, and we also have advertising material telling us what's going on in those factories. Okay, those fulleries rather. Another form of textile manufacturing that's going on in Pompeii is the making of felt. And felt was used in blankets, and it was used particularly in slippers. And these items are sold at the Forum Marketplace once a week. Now, there's 4 felt making workshops. The wall paintings in one of them show the felt making process. So archaeologists have got a really good sense of how this industry is operating in Pompeii. Now, one of the things that's seen in these wall paintings is women. Now, they seem to be buying or selling the felt. It's very hard to know what is actually being shown in this painting. So when we look at paintings, there are limitations on those type of sources. They might show women. We know the women are involved in the process here, but whether they're buying or selling at the counter is very hard to tell. Okay, the one large building associated with trade in Pompeii is located in the Forum. Now, it's a little bit hard to know exactly what this building was. Initially, historians and archaeologists felt that this building was a wool warehouse and market. Certainly something was being sold there. It's a limitation on our sources to think about what actually is happening in that place. Lately, some historians and archaeologists think this might actually be a slave market. So let's have a little bit of a look at what this kind of evidence looks like, what these sources look like. In our top left of the screen over here, we have a painting on the wall of a fullery. We can see slaves standing in the tubs with cloth being crushed down. We see the process by which the wool is cleansed by put into these tubs of urine that the slaves are standing up and down in. You can see various slaves holding different types of material. You can see it's coloured on some of them. It's being dyed. Now, if we have a look at this source here, we can actually see what a fullery looks like. It's got various pits in which different cloths are being dyed and so on. we can see our tubs where slaves would have stood and worked and pushed down. Okay, this is a secondary source at the bottom, giving an idea of what these buildings must have actually looked like at the time. Finally, we can see another artwork showing, and it's a painting from inside a fullery. We can see a painting showing in the bottom panel the work of the slaves in that fullery. So you can see they're spreading the cloth out, stretching it, pulling it together, unplucking the material, the impurities from the material. The top half, by the way, has a scene of elephants working in an exotic scene as basically an artwork of entertainment, and you can see various Cupid type characters flying around in the scene as a decorative panel of art. In the bottom half, though, you see the workers. So that's a little bit of a look into the clothing and textile industry.